All right, so we're going into the final match of an Aether Revolt draft, looking to win so we can get some prizes. We get a bad hand, and then we mulligan into another hand that's not so good. We do have one artifact, and we do have 2 cards with Improvise, which isn't too bad. I end up deciding to keep it. I leave the land on top. And this hand has the really great potential of being turning just terrible for me. Because if I don't draw enough any lands, I'm basically dead. The implement makes me a little more likely to hit a land. Opponent starts with an early Aether Chaser, which is a little scary. And we draw another card with Improvise, which is just not what we wanted. We have to lose our 1 artifact to just try to hit another land or a spell. And then we draw another top curve creature. And we are in a bad way here. Opponent has Aether Chaser in play, just ready to start attacking us and making servo tokens. We take the 2, can't do anything about that. The opponent plays Embrawl Gear Smasher, and we play Oval Chase Daredevil, mostly because we want it to be able to trade with the Gear Smasher. That's what I'm planning on doing if he attacks, just killing the Gear Smasher. Opponent plays Foundry Inspector, which is not good news. Plays a 1-mana Cogworker's Puzzle Knot. Doesn't attack with Aether Chaser here, which surprised me. He had nothing really to be worried about. I wasn't going to attack him. There's no way that I can effectively, and he could just get through for damage. I do draw Inventor's Goggles here, which is another artifact, and that's good. We're at the place now where if we just draw another land, we can just play all 3 of these guys. Not in the same turn, of course, but now I have a 5/4, and that's a pretty good blocker, at least. Opponent plays Glassblower's Puzzle Knot. Opponent going pretty deep on playing artifacts, which makes me wonder what big artifact payoffs he has, and he does have some guys with Improvise like Fenhauler, who's quite scary. The good news is all 3 of these are artificers, so when I play one of them for free, they're going to get their goggles. And we managed to hit a land there, which is just really, really good for us. And I decide to play... I don't remember what I decided to play. Yeah, Inventor makes the most sense. I'm glad I did, because it has hexproof. I was worried. I didn't want my opponent to just sort of blow through me, blow up my blocker, and then just hit me for a ton of damage. So now I have a blocker who can just effectively block everything he has, and it has hexproof, so I don't have a whole lot to worry about. Opponent improvises out Reverse Engineer, though, and reloads his hand. Then plays Iron League Steed. So he's going very wide on us, but we are relatively safe. And I decide to just play another Bastion Inventor here. Just trying to make my board such that I don't die very easily, basically. No attacks. Opponent starts throwing things at me with Embrawl Gear Smasher, just looking to kill me that way. Because I'm sort of getting to the point where I'm stabilizing and he can't attack through me, so it makes sense. And he has a lot of ways of making artifacts. So he does the same here, plays an implement, sacrifices it, drops me to 14, draws his card off the implement. And now I attack with Bastion Inventor. I realize that no matter what, I'm going to take something with me. And I think that's a decent attack. Killing Fenhauler is great because of everything I have in my hand. Opponent just decides to take 5, though, and I'm okay with that, too. Then I play Marionette Master, and I can put the goggles on him, and I do. I decide to put the goggles on him and make the servos. Gives me a way of stabilizing and doing a bunch of damage to my opponent. Now I can just attack with these servos. He takes 2 for every one he decides to block, basically. And that works out pretty well for me. Opponent decides to scry, make some energy. But he doesn't attack me at all. And then I attack with all 3 servos, as I indicated. He decides to block 2 of them. That drops him down. That alone drops him to 12. Then he takes... actually, I guess it dropped him to 11. Then he takes 1 from the other servo. And I decide to play Aether Swooper. I don't move the goggles. And then I also play Windkin Raiders. Opponent doesn't have a flyer right here, so it gives me a great advantage in the race. I have 2 flyers now. I move the goggles to the Windkin Raiders, so I have a 5/5. Opponent throws a servo at us and drops us to 12. And then I draw Doomed Operative. I attack with both my flyers this time, make another servo. And unfortunately, the opponent plays Unlicensed Disintegration, which drops me to 9 and kills my biggest threat. I still hit my opponent for 1 and drop him to 9. Then I play Doomed Operative. And now I have to decide where to put the goggles. Whether I want to put it on my Marionette Master so that if I block I can do a bunch of damage, or to put it on my Bastion Inventor, which can just block everything. And I put it on the Inventor. Opponent throws another servo at us. But the good news is our opponent is eating up his own board. And we're, getting to the point where an Alpha Strike could really help. He decides to put Ice over on Aether Swooper. It's the only thing I have tapped, and he can't put it on my Inventors. Otherwise, he probably would have. And now he plays a Quicksmith Rebel, though. And that is bad news. We're at 7 life. And now he can do 4 to us every turn, basically. But we get really lucky again in this draft to draw Yahenni's Expertise. The Expertise here will blow up a lot of my own creatures, but I keep both my Inventors. And it kills all of my opponent's creatures except Fenhauler. And I'll also do 2 to my opponent with my 2 servos. I do miss out on the free spell, which, because I don't have one in my hand. But it still does so much that it's a big deal. Opponent drops us to 5 and then to 3 by throwing an artifact at us. All he has left is Fenhauler. And so what I have to do here is attack with my 2/3 Bastion Inventor because you can't block it, and then move the goggles over. And this is what the plan's going to be. Just move, attack with one Inventor, move the goggles over to the other one so it can block Fenhauler, and repeat. That's what I want to happen here. I want my opponent to just draw lands, and that's sort of like the ideal thing here. Opponent plays Watchful Automaton, though, and he scries right away. And scrying is not good for us here. We do draw a spell, and so we attack with Bastion Inventor. If opponent blocks or double blocks, we get to kill his biggest threat. And that's really all we want to do, because we get to hold on to our other Bastion Inventor. So we kill his Fenhauler. So all we're looking at is that 2/2. It can scry, and we play Untethered Express, because why not? We want another big creature. Also gets us back our Oval Chase Daredevil. We move the goggles over to Bastion Inventor. And then my opponent plays his own Bastion Inventor, which is less than ideal, but I attack with my big Bastion Inventor. He decides to just take it, which is good for us. And then we play out Oval Chase Daredevil. We are in a situation here where removal really hurts us, but the good news is if he uses removal on Daredevil, I can then crew Untethered Express, and that's pretty good. So it's a little bit dangerous for me in response to an attack to crew Untethered Express, because then my opponent could just blow up the blocker. That's something to keep in mind in general about vehicles. If my opponent's hand is empty, I don't have anything to worry about. But my opponent's scrying twice on his upkeep, or once on his upkeep. Plays Skyship Plunderer, which is scary since it can kill me almost on its own. But I draw a Glimmer of Genius, and what I need, if I have a 1-power creature, if I can draw one, I can just kill my opponent, more or less. He has to block all 3 of my attackers, so he's going to lose a lot. And Untethered Express also has Trample, so we hit an Aether Swooper. That's all we wanted, that's what we needed, and we actually drew another 1-power creature who can crew it, and I decided to crew it with this instead in the event that, my opponent has no cards, but keeping Aether Swooper to block Skyship Plunderer was the thought there. But he has to block all 3 of these, which means he has to lose all 3 of his creatures, and he just decides to scoop there. So on to game 2. All right, so in game 2, we have a decent opening hand. We've got an Implement and a Die Young to kill something early. We've also got a Daredevil, which has been good to us. Opponent plays Renegade Map. And then Aether Chaser. Again, we play Die Young to just kill that right away before he starts going wide on us. Opponent plays a Pillar Bug. And we decide to play Watchful Automaton. Obviously can't block, but neither could anything else I have. Not very effectively a Pillar Bug anyway. Opponent plays Snare Thopter, and that's bad. Our deck doesn't have a ton of ways to kill that, and we played one of the ways we had to kill it already. So attacking us for 3 every turn is quickly going to kill us. So I play a land, and I attack with Watchful Automaton. And I decide to play Oval Chase Daredevil. The usual thought here is, that I have when I play Oval Chase Daredevil is, I can block and kill the Pillar Bug, and then just get it back with my Implement of Malice. So my opponent just attacks with Snare Thopter, though, which makes sense. So we've at least slowed him down, but that Snare Thopter's still trying to kill us. Opponent plays a Welder Automaton. We draw another Oval Chase Daredevil. Here we decide to play our Implement. What we really want to do is find a way to kill Snare Thopter. Opponent uses Renegade Map, and he's going to discard the land he finds with it. We hit a land. I decide to attack with Oval Chase here because if my opponent decides to trade, I'm okay with it. He decides not to block, and then I just play Doomed Operative. So that's sort of the why I was willing to attack too, because I can block pretty effectively. I don't hate trading for the Pillar Bug here. Opponent just attacks with Snare Thopter and Welder Automaton, and I decide to trade my Automaton for my opponent's Automaton, which does take away Death Touch from my Operative, but I think killing that was good. Opponent plays Aether Poisoner, and then we draw Windkin Raiders, which is great because it can block and kill Snare Thopter. I attack with Oval Chase again. Opponent takes it again. And I'm going to play Windkin Raiders here with the plan of just blocking that Snare Thopter so it doesn't kill me. It doesn't feel good to play a 6-drop to kill my opponent's 4-drop, but sometimes it's just what you have to do. Opponent attacks with both his creatures. I block with Windkin Raider. And then I attack with Oval Chase, and I play Augmenting Automaton. Actually, I play my other Oval Chase, and I want to keep my Augmenting Automaton in my hand so that if I block and kill something here, I can get it back. So my opponent attacks, and I have to decide how I want to block here. There's a lot of choices, a lot of options. What I decide to do is block here with Doomed Operative, so those trade, and block there to kill the Pillar Bug. I take 4 and go to 3. Opponent gains some life before the Pillar Bug dies. But I play Augmenting Automaton. I get back Oval Chase Daredevil. I play Oval Chase Daredevil, and I play Aether Swooper. So suddenly, with all this value from Oval Chase Daredevil, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm fairly stable. I do have to make some blocking decisions, but I'm in pretty good shape. And then my opponent plays Fenhauler, which puts me in a lot worse shape. I draw a land. I decide to attack with the Super because I can make a servo. And so I get in for a damage while not really losing a blocker. The opponent attacks with Fenhauler and Sweatworks Brawler. And so here, what I decided to do is double block the Fenhauler with both Oval Chase Daredevils. The only things that can block it. And I have to double block this. But that means I can pump my Augmenting Automaton so big that it can't die. So I pump it big enough to not die, make it a 4/4. And I lose both my Oval Chases, but I keep Augmenting Automaton. And if I can just draw land, I probably get ahead here, is my thought. But I don't do it. My opponent has way too much going for me to attack at all because I'm at 3 life. Opponent plays Watchful Automaton. Draw another land. So not really what we wanted to be hitting here. Why can't we just draw Yahenni's Expertise again, you know? And meanwhile, our opponent can scry, which means his quality of draws is going to increase before mine does, most likely. And I hit another land. So our opponent's already at the point where he plays one more creature, and we're just dead to an Alpha Strike because we only have 2 blockers. And then the opponent just plays Unlicensed Disintegration to finish us off, do the last 3 damage. So on to the third game, rather. All right, so in the third game, we have a very, very good opening hand. It's the kind of hand where if we just draw one thing with Improvise, it's great. And even if we don't draw that, it's a pretty good hand. We play early Automaton and then double Aether Swooper. It's pretty good. So we attack with our Automaton for 1 and then play Aether Swooper. Opponent plays Welder Automaton, and we drew a guy with Improvise. How about that? So here we can go ahead and make a servo. And that means we can play Bastion on turn 4 in this game, which is what you want to be doing. Because now we have enough artifacts to do that. Plus, we're going to play Aether Swooper too. So, opponent plays Watchful Automaton, and that's great for us. Neither of these guys is very big or very impactful, considering what we're about to do. And we attack with both our swoopers, and we make another servo. And we get in there for 2 more damage. And then we just play our big Bastion Inventor, tap down our servos to do it. And we have Die Young in our hand too, which means we can kill a blocker and put our opponent in a really bad place. And then we draw Yahenni's Expertise, which is a great thing to have in our back pocket, but right now it's not that good for us. It would just lead to everything but my Bastion Inventor dying. So I decided to use Die Young on our opponent's Foundry Inspector. Don't want his artifacts to be cheaper. I play a land, and I decided to just attack with the swoopers here because I don't want my Bastion Inventor to die. I mean, it would be an okay trade, but with the number of cards in my opponent's hand, I don't want to do it. Opponent cracks his map finally after not doing it for a while, surprisingly enough, and gets the island he needs and plays a Snare Thopter, which is, again, a problem. But in this case, we're ahead in the race, and our opponent decides to be very aggressive. Here, I decide to attack with the Swooper and the Automaton. Swoopers. And then I pump my Automaton big enough to do 3. We drop our opponent to 9 already. And we still have Yahenni's Expertise if we need it. Opponent plays Quicksmith Rebel here, which is scary. We've already dealt with it once. Uses it to kill my Automaton. He decides to attack again, though, which is good for us. And I draw an Oval Chase Daredevil. And then now I can attack with Bastion Inventor, because now I'll kill a Quicksmith Rebel if my opponent wants to kill it. So we attack with everything. Opponent decides whether he wants to double block, and he decides not to and drops himself to 3. And I decide to play Oval Chase Daredevil here. I could have played Yahenni's Expertise there just with the plan of my Bastion Inventor surviving, but there's too many things, too many cards in my opponent's hand and too many things that could happen for that to be the right plan here. I think it was good to keep our board, and it was, because Fenhaller would have come down and been big enough to stop us. Here we hit Glimmer, which is good. It means we can make another servo. We see the Goggles, which we like because our Inventor can get big enough to block Fenhaller. It also means Aether Swoopers are easily lethal. So we go ahead and attack with both. Opponent takes one of them, killing the other one. But I do make a servo in the process. And then I play the Goggles. So with the Goggles, I have lethal the next turn. But the opponent kills Aether Swooper with his Quicksmith Rebel creature. I draw a Universal Solvent, and I decide to just attack with my servos and my Oval Chase Daredevil. This is because I'm going to use Yahenni's Expertise this turn. I want to see if I can get in for any damage. Chances are I won't. Also, if he blocks my Oval Chase Daredevil with Fenhaller, I could kill it too, and that was kind of what I was hoping would happen. It's not what happens, though. So I cast Yahenni's Expertise, which means I also get to play Aether Swooper for free out of my hand. So we blow up our opponent's board for the most part, play Aether Swooper for free, and then move the Goggles over to Bastion Inventor. In our turn. Could have gotten in, tried to swing there, which would have been better if I'd put the Goggles on here and swung. Oh no, it was past combat. That's why I didn't do that. Never mind. Ignore me. All right, so now I just move the Goggles to the Swooper and the opponent scoops. So we managed to go 2-1 in this one. Yahenni's Expertise was definitely the MVP. It's a huge bomb, as I'm sure you already knew. So that does it for this draft. I'll be back with one next week, hopefully one where I actually get to record the whole thing live instead of like this. This does make the video shorter, though, which is probably good for some of you. So thanks for watching.